And that's a finish without any polishing. So that's straight out of the can. Hello, this is BJ from Hearns Hobbies, and I'm going to talk about 3D printing and how to do the post-production of them. So if you're not aware of 3D printing, it's very, very popular now. Quite a lot of people have a 3D printer at home, and they're actually giving very good results. So here's a couple here that Matt has done beforehand. So even with some of the products that we're producing, we're using 3D printing, and we do get a lot of requests about how to do the post-production. Post-production basically is, after it's been printed, what do you do to it to make it into a nice finished looking product? So here we've got a couple of examples of the mask from Death Stranding. So these are the masks for Higgs. Now this particular one's been printed with an FDM printer. So it's a filament with the thermoplastic. As you can see little strands of the filament hanging off it. And this is as it's come off the printer. So you can see it's rough. And if you're not familiar, then 3D printers basically, they start with a layer and they just keep moving up and up and up. And because of that, you get layer lines and you get little off bits like such, which they're little artifacts that aren't on the original. And that's simply because of the printing process. And then you get failures like this. So that's from a layer that hasn't bonded properly. So I'm just going to go through a few techniques and products that are going to help you with turning this into a finished version like this. And you can see how different they look. Okay, so let's go. You've got your raw print like so. You've taken it off the bed and it's got a bit that's come off it. And then there's also parts like you've got cracked parts here which haven't bonded properly. So there's been an attempt here to fill it in with some putty, which hasn't worked too well. Okay, so when you've got parts like this, now this is made using the most common material, which is PLA. PLA feels very much like a stiffer polystyrene that we use for plastic models. Easiest way to put these all back together is you use a coils here, CA glue, like this one here. So Zap-A-Gap is one of my picks of a good general instant cement. So CA stands for cyanoacrylate or super glue. Now I recommend something like this rather than your standard super glue you get from say stationery store or hardware store. These are very, very high quality, have very good sticking power, and also have a good longevity, because some of the cheaper ones craze and they come apart. So all you need is a bit of that. You apply it to one side and you glue it back together. And once you've got the basic parts back together, so obviously you glue this crack back together as well. Next step is to try to make this as smooth as possible. So I wonder if I just move it around, you might see layer lines. You probably see them coming through the sheen of the surface. You can definitely feel it when I move my nail across it. So what you want to do is you want to get rid of all these artifacts and also the lines. Now to do that, easiest way is to use some sanding paper and the sanding sponges. So we've got the these sort of sanding sponges. There's also the guide hand ones. So these are our 9-step ones, which have got the 6 different grits on it. They're pretty handy. The guide hand ones are available as mix sets as well. And then there's also various sandpapers. So like these ones here. So you've got the coarser one there and then the finer one here. Coarser one's good for smoothing down, for getting a really basic smooth surface. And then the finer one is used for the polishing part. Okay, so once you do that, once it's all sanded down, you'll get to a surface which is similar to this. So you see that all the artifacts around the teeth, they're all been taken off. All the edging has all been rounded off. Okay, so the next step would be, there'll still be some layering which will still be visible. And the easiest way of filling in those layers is to use a thicker type surfacer or primer. And this one's actually being used on this particular one to smooth it off. So this is the Surfacer 500. Now you can get primers in a variety of brands, but the good thing about the Mr. Hobby type stuff is it's available in different grades. So with the number is almost like sandpaper grade. So 500 is equivalent to like a 500 grit paper or 400 grit paper. And then as you see the ones here, the numbers will go up. So the higher the number, the smoother it is. So as you get into this one, this will get it to a semi-gloss finish, and this one will give it close to a full gloss finish. So this one will fill in most of your work, sand it back, and then as you gradually want to get it smoother and smoother, you can use the different grits, or you can just remain with that one and just finish off with paper. And then after that, once it's pretty smooth, it's just had gold spray paint applied. So this particular one was the Tamiya TS13 Gold. And then to give it the really high gloss, the Mr. Hobby UV Cut Clear's been put on. And that's a finish without any polishing. So that's straight out of the can. And then some highlights been added with a bit of a wash, just been rubbed in, give it some definition. And that's all that's been done on a piece like this. So as you can see, just with a few simple accessories. So you've got some glue to do your basic repair work. You've got the sanding papers for smoothing the surface. And then you can use any paint you like the gold and the clear that's been applied to this to get this particular finish. So we've had a lot of requests over the years, and because it's so common now, there's a lot of people getting into it and they're not too sure, and it's very easy to do. So if you have any questions, feel welcome to come in. Just tell us about your particular project and we'll be able to find the right way and recommend the right technique to help you along and get a really good finish just like this one.